What's going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this cork handle look brand new. Alright, so the problem that we have with cork grips is you use them and you use them hard, and they really do, they'll get dirty. The filler inside the cracks in the cork will fall out. You just, throughout time, or over time, your grips just get beat up. Well, in this video I want to show you basically how to refresh and make these grips look brand spanking new, and also how to take a brand new rod and seal the cork to be able to make it look new for years and years and years. Alright, so the equipment that you're going to need to do this is, one, a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. You can use soap and water and stuff like this. I just have found that this works a whole lot better. So Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. You're going to need some masking tape. You're going to need some wood filler. Two different types of sandpaper. I've got 80 grit and I've got 120 grit. And some U40 cork seal. I got this from Tackle Warehouse. I'll leave the link down in the description. But this stuff is tried and true. I've been using it for years, and it works great to seal your cork at the end, and we'll go over that. And you're going to need a sponge paintbrush. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our Mr. Clean Magic Eraser good and wet. We're going to clean this cork really good. Now, I used to clean the cork with like mineral spirits and what else? I can't remember what it's, alcohol, and it just, what that does is it dries out your cork, and back in the day, I thought that was a way to do it, and it really did dry your cork out and make it a lot more difficult to get this done. So the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, all you do, a little elbow grease, you just start scrubbing this dirty, and your magic eraser is going to fall apart. It's just one of those things, but it sure gets your cork good and clean. Okay, we're going to go down to the bottom one, same thing. Rub it real good. Let me clean that out a little bit. Whoo, this was a dirty grip. What rod is this? This is the chatter crank rod. No wonder it's dirty. It's the one I used so much. Alright, so I want you guys to look real quick. Notice as you're cleaning it, see how the filler has fallen out of this cork because it's been used so much? And that's what they do when it's brand new, when they build the rods, the cork gets wood filler in it. And they smooth it out and just make it look really nice and fresh and everything else. But throughout time, that stuff falls out. So we're going to restore the wood filler to start with, and then we're going to talk about sealing it. So once you get it to as clean as you want it, I think I'm about there. I think that's about as clean as it's going to get. But once you get to that point, get you a dry paper towel, shop rag, whatever you need. Get it good and dry. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is fill in all the cracks of the cork with the wood filler. Now, the directions on the wood filler says to use a putty knife, but this is a round surface, and honestly I'm going to use my built-in putty knife, which is going to be my finger. We're just going to put some on my finger and start plugging all the holes in the cork. Real simple. I'm going to do that all the way around. Lots of, you're going to use more filler than you think you should. It doesn't have to be nice and smooth. You're going to sand all of it down, but you're going to just keep filling all the cracks. And the color I'm using is natural color. I'm not going to, I mean, you can get fancy with it and get some darker colored wood filler. They come in several different colors, but I don't see why. I'm really going to move all this stuff around and smooth it around and try to get every single crack filled in real good before I do anything else. Alright, one thing I forgot to do and forgot to mention, I probably should have, totally slipped my mind, was why I got masking tape. So if you're a real messy guy and you tend to get stuff everywhere when you paint and so on and so forth, it'd be good to mask off the parts that you're not going to want wood putty on. But I don't. I'm pretty clean. I make sure everything's nice and smooth, stuff like that. Another thing is when you sand it, I might do that when I sand it, is mask that off so the sandpaper doesn't scratch up the rod or anything as I sand it down. All right, so once you get all the little cracks filled and everything else, you just let this sit for 2 to 6 hours and come back and we'll sand it. All right, so we've waited a few hours. We've let this stuff dry really good, and what we're going to do now is just basically sand it down and get everything nice and smooth. And I'm going to start off with the 80 grit sandpaper just to knock the high spots off, all the junk that's on here. And you notice I've already taped it up. I spent a little bit of time putting tape around here, mainly to protect the rod. I don't want to scratch up the rod with the sandpaper. So I'm just going to sit there and try not to break the other end of the rod on something. I'm just going to lightly. I don't really want to knock any of the cork, the existing cork off. So I'm going to be very careful about how deep I sand, at least with the coarse grit. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the 120 grit, and I'm just going to finish the sanding. I'm going to bring it all the way down to the cork. Like I said, I don't want to remove a whole lot of the cork, but I will remove a little bit. You'll see a little bit of the brown dust, sawdust coming off of it. Alright, so the next thing you can do is just get a dry rag I've got a shop towel right here, and just wipe off as much dust as you can. You can wet it and do it, but when you wet it and do it, then you got to let it dry before you seal it. And I really have never seen a reason to it really has never been an issue. The other thing is check for high spots. I've got to have Jordan zoom in right here. I got a little high spot right there, and it's basically filler that is not plugging a hole, it's sitting on top. So I'm going to take my sandpaper and make sure I get all those little spots out that aren't filling a hole, and it'll end up looking a whole lot neater, a whole lot cleaner. And wipe that down just like that. Look how nice and pretty that is even before we seal it. All those holes, remember this green rod, it was all just had pits and holes all in the cork. Almost looks brand new. Alright, now we're going to seal it. Alright, so this next step, this is a step that I recommend that if you're one of those guys that want to keep a brand new rod looking brand new as long as you possibly can, especially the cork, go ahead and get you a bottle of U40 cork seal and seal your brand new rods, and it will keep the dirt and the grime off of it and really will protect the cork. But we didn't do that, so we're restoring it. But you do it the same way. All it is basically kind of a varnish type deal. Now you want to use a paintbrush, and I like a foam brush, and I steal this idea from Tackle Junkie 81. Great YouTuber, I'll put a link down in the description to his YouTube channel. But you just take your brush, you just barely dip the tip of that brush down in that U40. This does not take a whole lot of seal, and you don't want to put a whole lot on at one time. The cork will absorb a lot of this. And then you just strictly, and this is when I recommend you tape up everything. But you just take that varnish and just that U40 very easily, and go back down, dip you a little bit more. You just don't want a whole lot of drips and stuff. And your cork will absorb it up really well, and it really will protect your grips. Go down to the bottom. Make sure it's nice and smooth and not no drops, no drips, no anything else, no runs. And just set it aside and let it dry. And I'm going to show you as soon as it dries, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like. If I stop beating the ceiling with my rod tip. But look how pretty that is. Of course it's still wet, but we're going to let it dry, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. I'm going to finish up this second rod real quick. Alright, so a little bit more information. This does dry to the touch in about 20 minutes, but you don't want to use it for about 24 hours. And like I said, it keeps the grit and the grime off of it. Really makes your rods look really, really good. And when this finally dries and everything, I'll get pictures and I'll post them up here, or put them right here in the video and let you guys see a comparison between what it looked like before and what it looks like now. I love this product, and I've loved it for years. But I love the idea of being able to seal your cork and make your rods look really, really nice for a really long time, even though you use them all the time. But I hope you learned something in this video. I hope you learned how to restore your cork handles. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out of the water. Go ahead and catch some fish and have a great day. We'll see you.